If the obligation is a present obligation, then it is considered as a provision, okay, provided that it fulfill the other criteria. If it is not a present obligation but it is a possible obligation, okay, if it is a possible obligation, then it cannot be recognized as a provision. If it is a possible obligation, then it will be recognized as contingent liability. And the second type of contingent liability, when it is a present obligation, okay, it is a present obligation, sama macam provision kan, present obligation, but apa yang dia tak fulfill adalah the outflow of resources is less than 50%. Because the condition to be recognized as a provision, the outflow must be probable. What is probable? When the chances of paying is more than 50%. But if the chances of paying is less than 50%, it is considered as not probable. It is only possible. So if it is a possible, which is less than 50% chance of paying, then it will be considered as a contingent liability. Or the amount cannot be reliably. That means it is a present obligation. It is probable, but the amount cannot be reliably measured. So it is also considered as contingent liability. Okay. Now, if I refer back to the condition as a provision, okay, the condition must be there must be a present obligation. Okay, must be a present obligation, and then the outflow must be probable. Alright, and then the amount must be reliably estimate. Okay, so the first one ni kita consider ni sekali lah, present obligation as a result of past event. So all these three must be there in order to be recognized as provision. Okay, what happen if let's say now it is not present obligation, if it is a possible. Okay, so if it is a possible, then it is not provision, it is a contingent liability. Or if it is a present obligation but it is not probable, it is a possible because the chances is less than 50%, so it is also contingent liability. So this one akan jadi contingent liability, and this is also become contingent liability. Or if it fulfill present and probable but the amount cannot be not reliably estimate. Okay, so yang ini pun juga direcognize sebagai not recognized as provision but will be disclosed as contingent liability. Okay, so I hope you can get that idea, the between provision. So to become a contingent, to be considered as a contingent liability, if it does not fulfill any one of these three conditions. Okay, to be recognized as a provision, it must fulfill all these three. If it does not fulfill any one of these three, then it will be considered as contingent liability. So this is what they are talking about on unrecognized present obligation when the amount is only when there is only possible outflow. Okay, so when is a provision not a provision but a contingent liability? If the present obligation is not likely to lead to an outflow. If there is a present but it does not lead to outflow, that means okay, tidak ada probable outflow of resources, or the amount cannot be measured reliably. So the three criteria that I mentioned just now. Okay, provision or contingent liability. Provision, of course, recognized as liability, and contingent liability is not recognized as liability but will be shown in the notes to the account. So this is just a recap. Okay, if the liability is more than 50% chances of paying, So this is a probable outflow, so it is a provision. If it is less than 50%, okay, nampak there's an addition here. If it is less than 50%, but it is still more than 5%, outflow of resources, that means there is a possible outflow, then it will be disclosed as contingent liability. But if the outflow, the chances is less than 5%, very minimal, then we can ignore. That means we don't have to disclose at all if the outflow of resources is less than 5% chances. Okay, so this is example. 2012, CMB granted Fendi a 3-year bank loan of 5 million. Ali Berhad stood as a guarantor for the loan and will be responsible for any default in payment by Fendi. So Alif is guarantor, Fendi make the loan. So in this November 14, Alif received a notice claiming that Fendi owed the bank unpaid loan. Okay, so Alif, dia jadi guarantor, so he get letter from the bank when Fendi default payment. So Fendi is expected not to be able to settle the debts. Okay, Fendi tak bayar. So how do you treat this? So Alif has no present obligation to settle the debts. However, there is a contingent liability. Alif has a possible legal obligation to make settlement on behalf of Fendi in the event of any default in payment. Alif will have to inform users of contingent liability of 5 million in the disclosure notes. So there is no journal entry because it is not provision. Okay, Fendi. As at year end 14, Fendi is unable to settle the debts. So Ali being the guarantor has a present obligation due to past event. Okay, so you see the difference here. As at the end of year 12 and 13, Alif do not have the obligation. But in 2014, Fendi unable to pay, so Ali being the guarantor has a present obligation, which may result in a probable outflow. Thus, Alif has to recognize the expenses of 500,000 against the current profit, and a provision will be made on the statement of financial position. Okay, this one we assume this is Fendi Berhad, and Ali Berhad is a company lah, not an individual. Okay, alright, let me stop there.